tell me if this has happened with you, that you got blamed for breaking a glass that you didn't even touch, or blamed for ruining a family dinner when all you did was just stay quiet. If this is your reality, then you were probably a scapegoat child. And in this video, we are going to see the signs what makes a scapegoat child in a family of toxic dynamic. Hi everyone, I'm Renuka. Welcome to my channel. This is a safe place where we talk all about mental health, productivity, and well-being, especially if you're a woman. Today's video is part of the series on family dynamics, toxic family dynamics especially, and we are going to talk about golden child and scapegoated child. And if you have ever felt that you were the problem of everyone in the house, or you were the one always blamed for things, then this video is for you. By now, we already know that having a toxic dynamic, having toxic parents creates a very, very toxic, unhealthy environment for children to grow. Usually it is one of the parent, either mom or dad, and the other parent is usually just coping or giving a reaction and reactive abuse. The toxic parent will avoid accountability. And how do they avoid accountability is by putting the blame on somebody else. And that's how they create different family members. They designate different roles for these family members. One of the role is the scapegoat child, which is usually, very often than not, the elder child, the firstborn. And that is a child takes the role of a scapegoat. The family dynamics can change depending on the difference between the ages of different children. If there is a lot of difference between the firstborn and the secondborn, usually the firstborn would have experienced a lot of blaming and a lot of abuse already until the child now becomes a rebel. Once the child is rebel, then he cannot be blamed anymore. So when the firstborn or the eldest child, usually it can be the youngest or the middle child also, depending on the situation, but most often it is the firstborn because he's available. If it is a single child also, in the case of a single child, then he's the one who's going to be blamed for every situation, for every problem. So this child takes the role of a scapegoat. And you see, when you're living in a toxic environment, the children understand what they need to do to survive. And most often the sibling, if they understand that this child is the one is being blamed for every issue, slowly and gradually the entire household now starts looking at this child as the problem child, because the child is denied of their own reality, of their own feelings and emotions, and denied that what they're feeling is invalid. This child becomes a rebellious child and starts reacting as the child grows up. And then the toxic parent proves it that this is a problem child, and they can go back feeling like a victim, that they are the ones suffering because of this child. If you have experienced where probably you were a girl child, and this can also happen in families where boys are given preferences, so the girl automatically becomes the child who is blamed. There are a lot of reasons why this happens. It is not just because a child is born with a characteristic, but also the number at which they are born, the firstborn, secondborn, thirdborn, or the gender. In a lot of Asian families where boys are preferred, the girl child becomes the scapegoated child, where all the problems of the family can be pushed to her, that she's the one, because of her the brother is not able to study, because of her this one is not able to do anything. But life teaches us lessons, and sometimes a bit ironic, the scapegoat child oftentimes become the child who is the cycle breaker of the transgenerational trauma. It is the scapegoated child who becomes more independent and is the one who's able to do things for themselves. So once we understand this, we also can understand that if you are a girl child and you have been a scapegoat child in your family, then very high chances that you will grow up to be an independent woman. And I say that with a lot of responsibility, saying that being an independent child as a scapegoat child in a toxic family is not a good thing, because that prevents you from accepting help from somebody. That makes your nervous system always on high alert. That makes you fearful of all kinds of relationships. That makes you believe that everything that you do, it's always your fault. So it's very easy to get into toxic relationship, because that cycle has to keep on happening. So until and unless you shine awareness, or you become aware that this is what is happening in cycle, and this is what I'm also doing it to myself. Like, for example, if you spill water and the immediate thing that you say is, wow, you're so dumb, or you're so clumsy. This is you telling yourself that you are the one to be blamed for the glass falling down. And And that becomes a narrative. That becomes your reality. So when you grow up, this will happen again. This will happen in workplaces. This will happen in your personal relationship because this is your belief and this is your reality now. Let's try to understand why does it happen. We know the toxic parents, husband, wife, parent, mom, dad, anybody, they do not want to take responsibility, accountability of their actions. So they like to blame shift and they have to find an easy target on which they can blame. A lot of times, especially in Indian families, you would have heard mothers saying to the child that my life is spoiled because of this child. And the child is like, I did not even do anything. I'm just existing, just there. And I am born because you all wanted me to be born. I did not want to be born. Why did you bring me to this life when I was the cause of all of your problems? It's a very, very normal experience of a lot of children in India specifically. And this is the reason why it happens, because the narcissistic parent need to find something to blame. It has to be external. They cannot take responsibility. They cannot accept it because a lot of time their own belief is that maybe they are at fault. Maybe it's because of them, but they are living in denial. So they will have to find some other easy target to do it. And who is the most easy target is the children. So that's how, if the parents are fighting, if they're having an argument, the father or the mother, whoever is the toxic one, will blame the problem on the child. That it's because of this child I'm like this, or because of this child I'm tired always and I'm not able to take care of myself. So the problem is always external. Unfortunately, this also makes it difficult for people who are really need help. In the true sense, they get denied. As you grow up, you become an adult, but you experience the same thing because it's the same situation. A narcissistic person will not go and sit and calculate that this is the person I'm going to make the scapegoat or this is the person I'm going to use as my target. It doesn't happen like that. They're not calculating it, but they do notice and they do a litmus paper test kind of a thing. They check if the insults that they are giving, how are you reacting to those subtle jokes and insults or backhanded compliments? How are you dealing with those things? If you are trying to ignore it like it didn't happen, they know that this person is not going to speak up, so they feel comfortable to target you. The reason why a scapegoat family member or a scapegoat person in an office setting is there because he is safe. When a narcissistic person wants to scare people or to show their authority, they need a submissive person who will tolerate it. And that's the role of a scapegoated child. That child who is an adult now becomes the scapegoat. So this person can insult, abuse or whatever because this person is not going to retaliate. And so he can keep a check on everybody else through this person. So healing is all about unlearning the old script. If your reality has been that you were the problem when you didn't even do anything, it's all about unlearning that script that I am not the problem. And how does that happen? It cannot happen overnight, but it can happen step-by-step counseling, step-by-step therapy, and you can unlearn this belief and break free from this cycle that you have been carrying on in all parts of your life and affecting every aspect of your life. This was a part series of toxic family dynamics. In the next video, we're going to talk about the golden child. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe to my channel, and share this with somebody you think might be going through the same situation. And make sure you watch my other videos on narcissistic abuse. I have made a playlist on it. I will see you next time in my next video. Until then, bye-bye.